seen Untamed and Uncut on Animal Planet. This is now in one of their episodes.
Wow.
And we were very pleased that it just walked out of that rope, because, you know, had the rope not come loose, I'm not quite sure what we'd have done if the rope hadn't come loose, you know. I'd like to say this, you know, it's a very happy ending to pull the calf out, but we did hang around for a couple of hours, and we don't believe that it actually did find its mother or its herd. And eventually it left the waterhole with another herd. So, you know, maybe it was already orphaned by the time it actually got to the waterhole. But yeah, you know, if we'd just been there and seen how that happened, I would have liked to have seen that. So, you know, during all this driving, looking for dogs, I'm trying to juggle a video camera, a sketchbook, and a stills camera. And just to give you a few shots, you know, things from my journal, which you can actually look at outside. In the journal, you know, I just sort of treat this as a place for experimenting. Some things are very simple, some sketches are more complicated. It just depends, you know, how long you actually see the dogs for, and if you can find them in the first place. Often, you know, what they'll do is they'll lie all day asleep, and suddenly they'll get up and you think, great, and then you've got 5 minutes and they're gone. So I have a lot of sketches of dogs lying sleeping, and then, you know, sketches of dogs, oh, that's not dogs, obviously, Victoria Falls. Sketches of dogs running away, I'll get there in a minute. Lots of elephants. I did begin to think at one stage that perhaps, you know, elephants would have been a much easier subject. I could have just walked out of the door every morning and seen thousands of them, instead of traipsing around after dogs who were not always very cooperative. So yeah, this was a typical sighting of the dogs, you know, waking up, scratching, a couple of minutes, sniffing around, and then trotting off down the road. One of my friends in Harare actually did say to me when she heard that I was doing this project, she said, you know, do you think you could have picked an easier animal, you know, perhaps aardvarks or pangolins, something nocturnal that lives in a hole? So I did begin to wonder at times, but I have to say I've been quite astounded by the interest that people have had, you know, in the painted dogs since I've come back. I did keep a sighting list, and over the period of 6 weeks I had nearly 100 bird species and 40 different animal species, which I thought was quite good, as it wasn't my main task. As I say, you know, my sketches, when I can't paint in watercolour when I'm in the bush because I have to stretch my paper, and it's too hot, it's too dusty, everything gets damaged. So my sketchbook is really like a light drawing class. You know, I'll draw whatever's in front of me, and I'm not thinking about paintings and not thinking about composition at all. When I come home and I do my finished paintings, and this one's actually in the show here, then composition is very important for me, and I have a lot of space in a lot of my paintings, which really comes from, you know, sort of southern Africa. I tend to go in the dry season when there's a lot of dust in the air. You get a lot of silhouettes, and that's, you know, that's where my colours come from. See, that's that snare again.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, just everywhere I go, I'm sort of, you know.
We're trying to avoid an explosion.
Yeah, it's not good really, is it? I'm outdone by the snare everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, my paintings are very different to my sketches, and it actually helps me when I'm painting to not be in the bush, because I exclude so much detail that when I'm in the bush, you've got so much there in front of you that I actually prefer to come away and complete my paintings in the studio, where I can exclude all that background and just stick with the animals, really. The one, they have these great signs outside PDC, and one thing I wanted to say was that, you know, I've obviously lived in Africa, and both Nigel and I have seen, you know, most of the wildlife. A lot of times we love the dogs, it's always great to see them, but probably the thing that sticks out most for me with this trip was actually staying at the conservation project and being involved with all the community activities, you know, the anti-poaching unit, the school groups coming into the bush camp. And that really gives you a whole different view of the species and what's going on to save them. And obviously, you know, it's the local people who will decide decide whether these animals continue to exist or not. They need to benefit from their existence. And now in this particular part of Zimbabwe, painted dogs are very well known. And that, you know, the school kids come in and they love the dogs, they know all about them, which is really key to, say, trying to preserve this species. And finally, you know, as other people have said before, it was a great experience. You know, anyone who's thinking of doing this, I would absolutely recommend it. Don't go on your own. I did that. Nige came out for a couple of weeks. When I was on my own, it was very difficult juggling the video, the camera, and the sketchbook. So yeah, definitely go with somebody else who can take the photographs. That's a good idea. But yeah, I also would just like to say thanks very much to Jeff and to Bill in particular for all their help, and I hope you enjoyed the talk. Thank you. That was speed talking.
That was wonderful. Well, we do have to wrap it up now. This is thank you so much. I think we had 4 excellent talks tonight, and thank you so much to Alison, Pollyanna, David, and Kat for sharing their experiences with us. We now actually have to. I think probably we got an extension on our shuttle. But I think we're just to now, so we're going to have to actually boogie. So thanks very much. Please make your way to the shuttle.